is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from OSHA Region 3, this is Safety Wars for Thursday, July 10th, 2025. How's everybody doing out there? Aye. Huge rainstorm today. And then after this morning, went into, late night into the morning. Got up, what a beautiful, glorious day. But every day is glorious. It's what you make out of it. How's everybody doing out there? Anyway, we're going to redo some commentary here. Right? I cannot find it. Someone asked me about it. I cannot find it in our database. So we're going to redo it. Who knows? Maybe it was one of those days we had audio issues. Let's make sure we don't have audio issues now. Right? Okay. All right, so, we got other stuff going on there. All right, great. Now we're ready to go. So we had some other stuff going on here. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned this to, the podcasts. Like I've always said, podcasts are like the best advertising because they never go away. The internet never goes away. Not yet, at least. There's stuff that I posted years ago, like 20 years ago, that'll disappear in the database, especially back then when things got consolidated and things got lost. But as Abby Ferry once said, screenshots are forever. So be careful what you're putting out there. Now, we know April 28th, all right, 1971, OSHA came into official, their first day of business. And what happened was they established April 28th as Worker Memorial Day. Now, it's meant to commemorate fatalities in the workplace. And one of our listeners here, who I know personally, yes, it is a real person. No, he contacted me and said, Jim, I don't like the Work Memorial Day. It offends a lot of veterans because people get upset because of the Memorial Day holiday in May, which is the unofficial kickoff of summer here in the United States, but it's supposed to be a solemn day worrying about your war dead. Veterans Day, which is November 11th, commemorates the end of World War I originally. That one was, and then they had other Memorial Days before that, I know, but November 11th, that's Veterans Day, where you honor living veterans. And it's always been my contention, very unpopular one, that Memorial Day and Veterans Day should not be days off from school for school children. They should be going into school and learning about veterans, learning about sacrifice. That's me. Right, I know. People are like, well, yeah, but it's a long, cold winter. We want to go out there. Yeah, but, it's another thing. They should have full-blown, education days, school assembly days for that. Or other appropriate activities for honoring our veterans in this country and also of our allies. Now, why would a veteran get upset over this? Because there's confusion with the other Memorial Day. Workers' Memorial Day is observed on April 28th. Some people unfamiliar with it might confuse it with Memorial Day, which is a sacred U.S. holiday for honoring fallen military service members, right? And again, confusion here. And the other thing is dilution. What do you mean? We know in the environmental field, right? Dilution is a solution for pollution. It is an old thing, and it's, not supposed to really do that. But anyway, calling everything a Memorial Day, and using Memorial Day all the time for different things. We have Workers' Memorial Day. We have Memorial Day for the veterans, and I'm sure there's many, many others. Dilutes the meaning. So a lot of veterans want things to be specifically attached to them. Right, so for many veterans, I had written this, right? The term Memorial Day is deeply tied to personal loss, friends or comrades who died in combat. To hear the word used in another context, even if it's valid, like workplace fatalities, I think we should have some day set aside. Obviously, let's not call it Memorial Day, right? And one of the other things is combat deaths versus workplace deaths. Right. Now, again, there's 55,000 workplace deaths a year, not the 5,000 that we hear from the 300 log. When you consider chemical hazards and other things going on that don't get picked up by the OSHA 300 logs or anything, this is actually 50,000. OSHA's numbers, not Jimmy's numbers on here. And the AFL-CIO also publicizes that on their website, last I checked, for this fact, right? And I'm equating both. Not really there. They feel the term has been co-opted for political or activist purposes, right? I can't really argue with that one there. Everything's politics nowadays. No, this is meant to be a non-political thing. Workers' Memorial Day is often supported by unions, worker advocacy groups, and draws attention to workplace hazards, unsafe conditions, or employer negligence. Some veterans may view this as politically charged or anti-business, not aligned with personal values, right? If they have quote-unquote traditional, however we're going to define that, conservative or patriotic in a traditional sense. And the other thing is this: lack of awareness or understanding. Many people, including veterans, may simply not know what Workers' Memorial Day is, which is an international day for remembrance focused on honoring workers who died on the job or from a work-related illness, intended to advocate for safer workplaces. Again, it's the whole thing intended to advocate for safer workplaces, right? Not a bad thing. We do it here, right? Maybe we have a different way of doing it, but again, mixing and diluting words, right? So, for example, another word that gets misused often is Holocaust, right? That's another load of word. Holocaust, I mean the Holocaust, 6 million Jews killed during, right before and during World War II in Nazi Germany, right? So that word is like exclusive to that. And I think that is a valid argument that Memorial Day be an exclusive use for veterans, my opinion, with that. I don't know. Let me know what you think on that. Should we have a day to commemorate workplace fatality? Absolutely. Do I think we should report on accurately what those are and include the 50,000 per year that are estimated by models put out by OSHA for years? Absolutely. On that, include them all. Make mention of that. But that's just my thing. Keep Memorial Day for veterans, not every other cause out there, cause célèbre, right? Or however you pronounce it. Moving on, that's a good place to take a break, and we'll get back to you in a minute here.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. Hi, this is Jim Posel, your safety warrior. You know what drives you nuts? I mean, absolutely unhinges me. I see all this stuff on social media. I get stuff in the mail, the junk mail, and everything else. And hey, we have a health and safety program for you. We have a health and safety process for you. Just throw out some money. 15, 20 minutes later, you have a complete health and safety program. No assessments. No professionalism, no professional checking out your stuff. That is where we have Aronite. They fill that gap between all these programs and having a professional in place, right? Let's say that you're an office, a financial service company, a retail chain, a tech company, you name it. The last thing on your mind might be what your responsibilities are to your employees, the company, and of course the law. All about safety, right? We forget about the law. It's not only protecting your assets, protecting your people, and your people are your most important asset. It is also following the law. Aronite has a whole worldwide reach, just like Safety Wars. They have a thorough and comprehensive auditing system that will identify what your needs are and then help you write the plan or the program you need. And then finally, they don't abandon you like all these other online platforms. They actually help you administrate it. We've all been there. We don't know what to do. We don't know what the laws are. We don't know any of this stuff. If you need answers quick, you come to me, Jim Posel, or you go to Aronite. Visit them on the web at aronite.com. Tell them Jim Posel from Safety Wars sent you. See you out there in the world of safety. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Safety Wars, a relentless pursuit into the high-stakes world of workplace safety and regulation. Jim Posel, a seasoned veteran on a mission to protect the vulnerable, the diligent, the everyday worker, in an environment where risks run high and lives hang in the balance. Welcome to the Safety Wars show on Safety FM. Follow us on social media as Safety Wars. Listen to us on your favorite podcast network as Safety Wars or visit us at safetywars.com.
And how do you like the new stuff? I mean, we're getting there. We still have AI music. We're not getting rid of that anytime soon. Department of Labor, it's like they have a dry spell with issuing press releases. Then all of a sudden you got like 5 of them one day. So we're just going to go right into this. U.S. Department of Labor says Georgia counter manufacturer for exposing workers to hazardous levels of crystalline silica. The U.S. Government of Labor safety inspectors determined that Brazilian Stone Design LLC, a powder spring stone countertop manufacturer, exposed workers to respirable crystalline silica. Again, very, very low thresholds here on that, especially with some of the new sampling techniques and the new regulation from 10 years ago, right? The employer was cited for allegedly exposing workers to high airborne concentrations of respirable crystalline silica, failure to require the use of respirators, perform fit testing, training workers wearing respirators, conducting air monitoring, and you're using the wrong word there, air sampling would be the more appropriate word, and administer an effective hearing conservation program. So I tell you what, let me take a second out. Let's go to the, we'll share the page here. I forgot to share that page. Hold on. So here we are at the OSHA establishment search page, and for whatever reason, you call it up and they reformat it, right? Note to users and everything else. And establishment search. I don't want this. Why do they do this? Make it look easier? Come on. Hide the reader. There we go. All right. What's the name of the company? Is Resilient Stone Design. Now, something weird is going on here because they had a press release the other day and they never updated the website. So what's going on here? So here we have 7 violations. They have this updated. All right, get rid of the reader here. Right? So here we have violation summary. So, right, $44,449. Right? They have a whole bunch of stuff going on here, but with zero things here, right? 0 penalties. So 1910 095, that's a $6,625 penalty for hearing protection. We have another one, 66,620 for respirator protection, 1910 134 C01 respiratory protection. A written respiratory protection program that includes the provisions of 29 CFR 1910-134 with worksite-specific procedures was not established or implemented for required respirator use. Right? With that. Now, I came across, let's see if we can find it during the next break here. I came across a website that has all of the OSHA air monitoring information here. So the employer did not ensure that no employee was exposed to an airborne concentration of respirable crystalline silica in excess of 50 gram, should be micrograms, per meter cubed. 50 grams, that's a lot. Calculated as an 8-hour TWA. Right? And the fabricator test going on and on. They were measuring 179.17 micrograms per meter cube. This level exceeded the permissible exposure limit for RCS at 50 micrograms per meter cube. The exposure was derived from a sample collected for a 467-minute sampling period. So under the OSHA sampling guide, you try to do 8 hours, which is 8 times 60, which is 480 minutes. So they pretty much did this right up to the end. Exposure, the whole shift, right? Exposure calculations include a 0 increment for the time not sampled. B, warehouse production area on or about February 19, 2025, and at times prior, the employer exposed employees to respiratory hazards, and that a polisher tasked with a polishing stone countertops was exposed to respirable crystalline silica at an 8-hour TWA of 166.3 micrograms per meter cubed. This level exceeded the permissible exposure limit. So, OSHA actually went in there and did the sampling. I mean, at that point, they start doing sampling. You got to start asking questions like, what the hell am I responsible for? That would be a nice one, right? Here we have the next one, which is 1910-1053. And this is respirable crystalline silica hazard. So before, right, with that, $6,620. Right, and these are all 1910-53 standard, right, which is respirable crystalline silica. They whacked them pretty good. It sounds like this was a smaller company. Did not assess the exposure of each employee that might maybe reasonably exposed. We have EO1, $4,729. 1910-1053 EO1. And that was for no regulated area, no exclusion zone in there, meaning that you're exposing a lot more than just your worker doing whatever job this was. And no written exposure plan, $6,620. I tell you what, it never ceases to amaze me. They don't. A lot of employers, I don't know if that was the case here. They do not have money to spend on safety plans and this kind of stuff, and they have money to spend on lawyers, right? Well, Jim, that's not fair. Well, you don't know the whole context. That's correct. I don't know the whole context, but they do, just one of those things. They'll spend money on other things, but not on safety with that. Just an observation. Right, and of course they're innocent until proven guilty here, right? Let's go to the next one. U.S. Department of Labor cites Georgia-based Keystone Foods for exposing workers to fire and explosion hazards. Right, so there was a violation of the general duty clause here. So let's again go into the establishment search. Here, so I'm copying that. I'm going to the establishment search page. And let's get off the reading section. I hate it. This is like the only website that does it. Like they need, like what? Do I need, right? Do I need, what do I need here? So here we have out of business, right? 4.8. So let's go back and see what this is. Keystone Foods, the distributor for Tyson Foods, for allegedly failing to protect workers against fire exposure damage. The Department's occupational safety determined that on December 26, 2 workers at the plant, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Tyson Foods, were seriously burned when a hose filled with oil ruptured, igniting the oil mist, causing a fire and explosion in the boiler room. Inspectors concluded Keystone Fire did not ensure workers followed proper internal procedures when conducting maintenance on its boiler pump. I'm going to take a guess and say that it was depressurization. There, that's, got to depressurize this stuff. OSHA issued Keystone Foods for a citation for a serious violation under the general duty clause there. So this is in Atlanta. I am seeing here, okay, right here. Right, so there was a Keystone Foods in Pennsylvania that went out of business. There's one in Georgia. What do we got going on here? Again, they did not update their establishment search on that. Do I have to do a Freedom of Information Act request here? And here's another one for the same facility. Right, and they were left with a fatality. And I don't know if it's the same facility here. Let's go and look. Might be the same facility. They had a fatality allegedly in 2021 on here. With that. So employee number 1 was cleaning drying with a paper towel at the bottom of an AccuFeed hopper. A coworker energized the machine. The right hand of the employer was caught on a rotational paddle system. The machine, employee number 1 was hospitalized, broken bones in the right arm. So I don't know how you get fatality out of that. Really. Referral. Partial referral. Now, here's the thing. Complaint. Okay, I must have misread that. There is no fatality here. But anyway, so let's talk about this for a minute. I'm not saying this happened here. I'm not sure. But the right? If you have the same EIN number, the same business, that applies to all businesses nationwide, not just one office. And that's often what happens with, so I've seen happen with companies where they've tried to say, well, there was a problem, but it was in the company in Wyoming, our Wyoming area. That doesn't apply to us. Well, according to the law, it does apply to you with that. If you get cited at one place, you get cited everywhere. The U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration, they announced new guidance to ensure illegal immigrants are not allowed to access to federal workplace development resources and related grants, coinciding with similar measures being taken across the federal government. This announcement is the department's latest effort to carry out President Trump's Executive Order 14218, ending taxpayers' subsidization of open borders. Under this guidance, all grantees funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and related programs must verify valid work authorization before providing participant-level services. This action replaces the Biden administration's guidance that incentivizes illegal immigration and reinforces the department's commitment to ensuring taxpayer-funded workforce resources remain focused on strengthening the American workforce. Now, I'm just reading it here. I'm not saying whether I agree with it or disagree. America's workforce is stronger than ever under President Trump's leadership because he's committed to upholding the rule of law and putting American workers first, said U.S. Secretary of Labor Lori Chavez de Raymer. Our updated guidance makes clear that taxpayer-funded workforce services are reserved for individuals who are authorized to work in the United States as required by federal law. By ensuring these programs serve their intended purposes, we're protecting good-paying jobs for American workers and reaffirming this administration's commitment to securing our borders and ending illegal immigration. This guidance directs the public workforce development system to update all policies and procedures to verify work authorization and maintain proper documentation in participant case files. This ensures employers can have confidence that partnering with the workforce system will help them hire workers who are both equipped with the skills to succeed and have the necessary approval. This guidance applies to programs including youth programs, including statewide, and going on and on and on. Anywhere where money is involved, federal money, you have to use it on American workers. Mixed feelings on this because foreign workers come here, whether they're legally or illegally, they're at risk, especially in the construction or in the labor industry, where they're actually doing heavy labor, right? Whether that be farming, whether it's or anything else, and it's they already are at risk. So are we putting them at more risk for this? Because I tell you what, someone gets hurt and he has to go to the hospital. A lot of these companies do not have workers' comp, or they get cute and say they're all independent contractors, and therefore they're not eligible for workers' comp. And then what happens? Then someone has to pay the bill. Either the medical facility has to absorb the cost or something. I mean, I remember one former client of mine, that was their model. We're going to hire immigrants and then pay them as independent contractors. They were all here legally. And it was like I said, okay, did you tell them what time to show up to work in the morning? They said, yeah, job starts at 7. Well, guess what? They're not an independent contractor anymore. Did you give them tools to work and direct the work? Yeah, we told them what had to be done. Our foreman, not an independent contractor. So, and it goes on and on and on and on. Right? Here we have, this is from yesterday. We already covered that on grants. I tell you, we have a mind-blowing situation that happened at the EPA today. I'm shocked. We're going to go and take a break in a minute after I finish this, right? So here we have a press release from OSHA, from the Department of Labor, actually. Came out today, Thursday, July 10th. Unemployment insurance weekly claims. In the week ending July 5th, The advanced figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims was $227,000, a decrease of $5,000 from the previous week's revised total. The previous week's total was revised down $1,000. And as we see here, what's the whole point? Things go up, things go down, right? Things are, level for the most part. And again, I'm sure some microeconomics person would say, well, not really, Jim, Some of the other news out there, right? We're not going to do that. Well, here is from Study Finds. Why are more American kids dying than peers abroad? CHOP study reveals stark reality. For American parents, the numbers are staggering. Children in the United States are dying at rates that dwarf those in other wealthy countries. The study, led by researchers at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, reveals that from 2007 to 2022, American infants were 78% more likely to die before their first birthday compared to babies in 18 other high-income countries. Children and teens aged 1 to 19 face even a grimmer reality. They're 80% more likely to die than their peers. In Canada, Sweden, and Japan, mortality is just the beginning. Published in JAMA Network, the findings show, Journal of American Medical Association, the findings show that American childhood health has been steadily deteriorating across every measure, one of them being nearly half of all children have a chronic health condition. Childhood obesity affects 1 in 5 children. Depression among high schoolers has skyrocketed from 26 to nearly 40%. I tell you what, these damn cell phones, right? I don't know where I put mine. Oh, well, and that's the other part. I can never find mine. Ask my family. Weird things going on out there with them. So I heard a report that people are actually filming people going to the bathroom. This is in high school. And then when they're coming out of the stall, right, they take a picture, and if they were, we'll just be polite, if they made noise, then they go and they share that on an SMS group or whatever. They don't put it on, the kids are smart enough not to put it on the internet. They share it in an SMS group. Much harder to track, often. Right? With that. And there are other ways of doing that. Or what they do is they edit things into it. And I'm like, really? That's bizarre. Now, I know every locker room I go into, every bathroom I go into where there may be children present, there's a sign, no cell phones allowed. Right? Lead researcher, and I've seen that for like 10 years now, Lead researcher, Dr. Christopher Forrest, a professor of pediatrics at CHOP, deliberately designed this study to capture the full scope of childhood health. We knew that obesity and anxiety rates were going up. However, when we took a comprehensive look at children's mortality patterns, chronic disease, obesity, sleep, puberty, pain, and other physical symptoms, and loneliness, they all trend in the wrong direction. All right? American youth were 15 times for older children and teens likely to die from firearms than children in other wealthy countries. Yeah, because they don't have as many guns. So yes, they're going to be more likely to die. Right? It seems as if gun violence has become a uniquely American childhood accident. Right? Motor vehicle crashes, substance uses, and homicide also kill American children at rates far exceeding international norms. I know, in my town and in my county, Rockland County, I mean, it's like every week we get a report here. Now, again, the system. What are they growing up in? The system. It's human organizational performance with this. You could apply. What are their incentives? What's going on? 4 in 10, here's another one from Study Funds. 4 in 10 Americans are thinking twice about traveling, especially overseas, due to safety fears. A majority of Americans feel plagued by nerves and anxiety at the mere thought of international travel, according to new research. A Talker research poll of 2,000 U.S. travelers found that in the past, 94% have traveled domestically, while only 28% have traveled internationally. The gap reflects increasing anxiety about leaving the country. Yeah, I'm one of them. I'll say that much. Here we go. And this comes out every once in a while, right? I mean, this is so I treat it with a grain of salt. Researchers identified 5 extraordinary turnarounds that could prevent global catastrophe by 2100. In a nutshell, our current economic model is headed towards social collapse by 2100. Yes, we discussed that on our show here. With declining well-being despite economic growth, rising inequality, and dangerous climate change. Scientists have identified 5 extraordinary turnarounds. Poverty reduction, inequality fixes, women's empowerment, food system reform, and clean energy that could flip this trajectory if implemented together. If it doesn't bankrupt us first. The key insight, rising social tensions and inequality make it harder. I'm not saying, no. What I'm talking about is the clean energy and food system reform, which we're getting away from here. Food system reform, that means a lot of different things, but women's empowerment, yeah, we got to empower women. So they throw in good ideas or bad ideas. Poverty reduction, yeah. Inequality fixes. This is all part of what they call the 2030, right? What is it? From the UN. 2030. Agenda 2030. By 2100, despite having more money in our pockets, most of us could be living worse in our lives than we are today. That's a stark warning from a new study that upends everything we think we knew about progress and prosperity. Researchers from top universities across Europe have developed a sophisticated computer model that tracks how human well-being evolves over the next 75 years. Our current economic system, left unchanged, will likely trigger rising social tensions, worsening environmental damage, and declining quality of life. The study published in the journal Global Sustainability comes from the Earth for All initiative, a group of scientists who wanted to understand whether it's actually possible to improve life for everyone while staying within Earth's environmental limits. The answer is yes. Okay, so what do we have? What are their solutions? All right, so the 5 policy turnarounds that could save society from total collapse. Massive investments in developing countries to rapidly reduce extreme poverty through debt cancellation, infrastructure spending, and productivity improvements. Inequality turnaround, higher taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations combined with universal basic income programs and stronger worker protections. Okay. Redistribution of wealth. Are we okay with that? All right. Empowerment turnaround. Major investments in women's health, education, and economic activities aiming for true gender equality worldwide. Okay. And what countries specifically are we talking about? Because, like with all policies, right, they go after the low-hanging fruit first. I'm going to challenge them. They want that. Why don't they do it in areas where there's extreme women, where women are treated like slaves or chattel? Let's start in those. You go out there and you start working in those countries, guess what? I'm on board 100%. But that's not what they do. It's sort of like what we do in the safety field, a lot of places, where you go after the people who refuse to follow safety procedures are untouchable. So what do? You go after the easy people that will follow safety procedures and not address the other people. Happens all the time. Jay Allen would call it that the system cannot take safety, right? The signal is, so, like, for example, You go and you come up with a new safety idea, and they say, well, when they shoot it down, oh, well, we can't do that. It costs too much money, or we can't do that because of whatever reason. We can't enforce the rule on that person because that person is essential to our business model. So the hell, we can't tell them to put on a vest. We can't tell them to put on a hard hat. He's not going to work here. And if he doesn't work here, everything shuts down. Sound familiar? Same thing here, empowerment turnaround, where they talk about gender equality worldwide, but it's not for everybody. It's only for those countries where it's easy to do. I'm not saying don't do it. Obviously, believe me, most of the people I've hired are women. Right? That's the way it is. We got to treat everybody equally, but why don't we concentrate on the countries that does not happen? Food turnaround, revolutionizing agriculture through sustainable farming practices, reducing food waste and shifting towards a more plant-based diet. Okay, what does that mean, sustainable farming? I'd like to know what do they mean by that? Are we going to automate everything? Are we going to have farming practices that prevent erosion and non-point source water pollution? Okay, great. Well, where are those areas of the world where they have those issues? Let's try to address them. 100% with that. Energy turnaround, aggressive deployment of renewable energy, massive improvements in energy efficiency, and deployment of carbon capture technologies. Let's not forget, you put up all these alternative technologies, whether it's wind, solar, and other things, what do you got to do? I was listening to an interview last night, or actually this morning. You have to still have the same grid we have in place for when that goes down. When does that go down? It never used to happen when I was growing up. I'm sorry. In Woodbridge and New Jersey and Newton, New Jersey. Well, guess what? There's power outages all over the freaking place. Now, again, I don't know. Our biggest threat today is the resurgence of worldwide communism. Number one, and socialism. This is Jimmy talking now, not Safety FM or anybody else. And the other one is demography, because the demographics drive everything. We have a huge demographic problem here in this country and worldwide. We're in better shape in the United States than everywhere else because we have immigration. We let in 20 million people, allegedly. I don't believe the number. All right, just to let you know. I don't know. We'll see. So this is from news9.com. Anti-government militia group claims responsibility for vandalism to News 9 radar. An anti-government group, I'm not going to name the name, claims responsibility for vandalizing News 9's next-gen live radar in Oklahoma City. This came out this morning. Again, terrorism, right? Let's call it what it is. An anti-government militia group claims to be responsible for vandalizing News 9's radar. News 9 security cameras captured who police said is, I'm not going to mention his name, destroying the power supply to News 9's next-gen live radar in northeast Oklahoma City. The person was arrested Tuesday for an unrelated crime. Police have since filed complaints against the person related to the crime, but have not confirmed any connection to the group out there. Following his arrest, an anti-government militia group that has a very patriotic name claimed responsibility for the vandalism, aka terrorism. And right, while it is unknown if the person has ties to the group, its founder admitted to encouraging the destruction of weather radars and to targeting another weather radar in Oklahoma earlier this month. The group believes the military is using radars to alter the weather. perfect segue on to our next thing. When the military plays God with the weather, they're mocking our Heavenly Father, right? Said the founder of the group. By the way, there has been some evidence, right, up in Alaska of the government trying to do weather experiments. Anyway, let's go to commercial break while I set up the next thing here, right?
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Posel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives and some information that you might be interested in.
The safety war has begun. The risks are out there, lurking in every corner of the workplace, threatening our most valuable asset, our people. But we have a plan. Led by Jim Posel, we are the last line of defense in this battle against danger and negligence. We will fight for safety, for compliance, for the right of every worker to return home unscathed. Join us on this journey through the unknown, where vigilance is our weapon and knowledge is our shield. This is Safety Wars, our fight, our duty, our mission. Heard regularly on your favorite podcast platform as Safety Wars, visit us at safetywars.com.
Federal workplace safety inspectors found a Wisconsin animal food producer exposed employees to the risks of explosions, fires, and long-term respiratory illnesses from excessive amounts of airborne dust, among 24 safety and health violations they identified. The findings follow an inspection by OSHA at a Watertown facility in February 2024 after the agency received complaints of unsafe working conditions. OSHA inspectors found the company's poor housekeeping, its failure to evaluate spaces for dust hazards, and an absence of engineering controls to reduce dust created serious combustible and airborne dust hazards. The agency also determined Strauss Feeds did not develop a written respiratory protection program that includes medical evaluations, fit testing, monitoring, and training workers to recognize dust hazards. Unsafe levels of airborne dust can ignite suddenly, causing explosions and fires that jeopardize the safety of workers. Left unchecked, these same dust hazards can cause workers long-term health issues, explained OSHA Area Director Chad Greenwood in Madison, Wisconsin. Companies that manufacture products that create excessive dust particles must use engineering systems and highly effective respiratory protection programs to protect employees from harm. OSHA also noted workers were exposed to hazards from walking and working surfaces, falls, confined space, and the operation of industrial trucks and forklifts when combustible dust hazards were present, increasing the risks of fire and explosion. Inspectors cited Strauss Feeds for 19 serious and 5 other than serious safety and health violations. OSHA has assessed the company $161,332 in proposed penalties. Founded in 1875 as a small water-powered mill on a farm in North Manchester, Indiana, the company today makes milk replacer for calves and other young animals. For this and similar stories, along with commentary and a deep dive, listen to Safety Wars on your favorite podcast platform and video platform as Safety Wars or Jim Posel.
Anyway, here we go. Here we have Let's see here. Let's get right for the last thing. We need some music here. So this is crazy here, right? Today, the U.S. and I'm gonna compliment the man, Lee Zeldin. This guy is like a globetrotter here, going all over the place. He must be racking. I don't know. Does he get like bonus points for like Marriott or something here? Holiday Inn, Motel 6, right? Because he's always traveling, always doing stuff. No, this guy works pretty hard. Here, today, the U.S. EPA released new online resources to address public questions and concerns about 2 topics: geoengineering and contrails. EPA created these new online resources to communicate everything the agency knows about the latest science research and other topics. Information regarding contrails and geoengineering. EPA is committed to total transparency. So let's listen to the man in his own words.
Concerned Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves and expects honesty and transparency from their government when seeking answers. But for years, people who asked questions in good faith were dismissed, even vilified by the media and their own government. That era is over. The Trump EPA is committed to total transparency. As a result, I tasked my team at EPA to compile a list of everything we know about contrails and geoengineering for the purpose of releasing it to you now publicly. In other words, I want you to know everything I know about these topics and without any exception. Instead of simply dismissing these questions and concerns as baseless conspiracies, we're meeting them head on. We did the legwork, looked at the science, consulted agency experts, and pulled in relevant outside information to put these online resources together. Everything we know about contrails to solar geoengineering will be in there. That means anyone who reads through this information will know as much about these topics as I do as EPA Administrator. To anyone who's ever looked up to the streaks in the sky and asked, what the heck is going on? Or seen headlines about private actors and even governments looking to blot out the sun in the name of stopping global warming, we've endeavored to answer all of your questions at the links on your screen. In fact, EPA shares many of the same concerns when it comes to potential threats to human health and the environment, especially from solar geoengineering activities. The enthusiasm for experiments that would pump pollutants into the high atmosphere has set off alarm bells here at the Trump EPA. Prior to now, EPA has never been this proactive to raise awareness about concerns with geoengineering and to stop this activity from being scaled up. This is what it looks like when government actually listens to the will of the people and doesn't try to squash it. You can always trust this administration and this EPA to take your concerns seriously, answer your questions honestly, and carry out the will of voters with integrity.
All right, so I tell you what, let's ease on over. I mean, nothing could be better than hearing this. So here we have our geoengineering webpage. So it's at epa.gov /geoengineering. Geoengineering encompasses a broad range of activities that intentionally attempt to cool the earth or remove certain gases from the atmosphere. The web area provides an overview of the basics of geoengineering, potential impacts of solar and geoengineering, and answers to frequent questions. I tell you what, we were all conspiracy theories every time that theorists, every time we question it. Now it's on their website. Geoengineering encompasses a broad range of activities, including those that intentionally attempt to cool the earth or remove certain gases from the atmosphere. Gases that trap heat in an atmosphere are often referred to as greenhouse gases, which include CO2, CH4, methane, nitrous oxide, NOx, fluorinated gases. For example, geoengineering includes removal of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, also called carbon dioxide removal, and I'll add sequestration is the other word for it, through methods such as direct air capture and storage, ocean iron fertilization, and ocean alkalinity enhancement. A subset of geoengineering activities intends to cool the earth by intentionally modifying the amount of sunlight reaching the earth. These activities are referred to as solar geoengineering or solar radiation modification. Most proposed solar radiation modification techniques involve adding material to the atmosphere to increase the amount of incoming sunlight reflected back into space. While some of these approaches are currently being studied, not enough information exists to fully understand the viability, the risk, and the benefits of each approach. They have a nice little graphic here. And types of, and it goes on and on and on and on. Very good. I was glad that we're finally getting some answers here with this. Right? Statutory authority. Right? All the statutory authority here. And congressionally, and the congressionally mandated research plan and initial research governance framework related to solar radiation modification. Right? With that. So my question is this. Why are we spending all this money on this? Trump doesn't believe in global warming, quote-unquote, global climate change that anthropocentrically based, but why are we still doing this? And here we have another link coming up away. I guess you all went on the website to look at this. Information on contrails. So let's look that up. What is that? Coming in outrageous amount of time to do that. We'll go into that tomorrow. We're at the end of the show with that. So for Safety Wars, thank you for listening. This is Jim Posel. And, we will see you maybe over the weekend. We'll see what happens here. We're going to be releasing some videos online over the weekend, some replays, things of that nature. I'm going to try to make that a regular habit here, and we'll catch you we'll catch you when we catch you.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Masks on faces, no room for complacency. Air ain't free, got rules explicitly. 29 CFR, the code to live. Breath-free protection, OSHA directive. Regulating lungs, safeguard the breath. Respiratory shield, fending off death. Respect the air, comply with the creed. 29 CFR, for the life we need. Filter tight, no gaps or faults. Night shift grind, a 9 to 5 hustle. Contaminants lurk unseen, unknown. OSHA's guiding us, never alone. Half mask, full face, get the fit test. Seal like gold, protect the nest. Airborne hazards, left in the dust. 29 CFR and standards we trust. Path of life, regulations uphold. No shortcuts, strict guidelines unfold. Disposable or reuse, choices laid out. Breathing safe without